Thank you. I recognize the Deputy Speaker, Honourable Stacy.
Madam Speaker, because I have manners, Happy New Year to those who are listening and to the members and everyone in the House of Assembly this evening or this afternoon. I say that I have manners. I'm glad that everyone is awake again. Madam Speaker, I would like to clarify why earlier I voted no to debating or having the first, second, and third reading. Madam Speaker, growing up in the territory, one would sometimes say you don't rush the brush. Or you might find yourself caught between a rock and a hard place. Madam Speaker, I voted no because despite the Premier saying that we had several working days, we checked the calendar, it's about 7 as of yesterday. I like clarity. Count the days. December the 19th, today is January the 7th. Holidays, holidays, holidays. Yeah, there's certain things you don't bring during Christmas. Madam Speaker, the territory that I grew up in is not the territory I walk around in. A lot has been said about human rights, corruption, public trust, abuse of power. Madam Speaker, when we as legislators are apprehensive to talk about criminal elements in our country, we have hit a wall. When we see the DDP coming in here in standing finance, and the AG's chambers, police, customs, immigration, all the law enforcement bodies who had 138 recommendations, many of which needed to be finished by the end of 2024. I don't recall getting an update on what has been done and where we stand. And now volume 2 is coming out, and within the document that the Honourable Territorial Representative spoke about, Lana Smith, it states that volume 2 will address the National Security Council, which the Premier did allude to him sitting on the council and his concerns as a member of the council, having privileged information that the rest of the House doesn't have. But as we sit and look at this document, Madam Speaker, I want to be very clear. This document was brought to us about mutual evaluations, but in the private conversations we had, it was also identified to us that these are things that we need to do for law, for order, for trust. And trust is important, Madam Speaker, because as a member of the House of Assembly, I've said this before, it was only until I got elected that my integrity started to get questioned. I have been in the Virgin Islands driving around in my vehicle and stopped by police officers and searched. I don't know what I did wrong. No, Madam Speaker, those officers that I dealt with are probably not the same officers that are on the force now. And we have officers that have been interdicted, and we haven't figured out what's going on with that yet. So, Madam Speaker, when I look at this, I understand human rights, but we also have to balance the real reality that we don't trust our police officers. Madam Speaker, that's it. So we can talk about the governor's office, we can talk about the white, we can talk about the black, but we got to talk about our own too. We don't trust our own to take care and do what we think should be done. But we are in here looking at a law which we will fix, Madam Speaker, and it's disappointing that a lot of the recommendations that were made by the 13 members in this House when it first came to us informally, we coming back inside here, Madam Speaker, it's like doing your homework. Them tell you yes, them understand, but then they give back the same paper again and they didn't make the corrections. As an educator, it's frustrating. Madam Speaker, in order to put public trust back into what we are doing, and all the members in the House that have spoken before have been very eloquent. Madam Speaker, the Premier, we were all in here. The Governor came in, did a speech. He mentioned the Human Rights Commission. I've asked in this House, and I signed the budget, we have another $200,000 for them. Why can't we, or why are we not at the point, and I'm not beating the horse, Madam Speaker, well, it's done. I'm saying that sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture. Could we not have handed this document to the Human Rights Commission and say, what are we violated? But we don't have one. So we can't hand it to them. When we look at crime in our country, this is part of the problem. Giving law enforcement what they need, but also respecting the rights of the citizens to know that if someone comes into your home, they're not going to do more than what they're supposed to do. The safeguarding within it. And it has been discussed, it has been spoken about, and I'm not going to bring up all the elements in the document that says that. Well, Madam Speaker, this has to go, but it cannot go the way it is. And that's why we have the committee stage in the House of Assembly. Madam Speaker, now, abuse of power is a funny thing, and it has come up in here. I remember being in here when we talked about ministerial powers, discretion, extraordinary circumstances. Those things seem to be high up for us, and there's penalties for us. Madam Speaker, I am concerned, and I want to go on record, that when this is done, the regulations that were spoken about by the Deputy Premier, the member for the 8th, they have to come back into this House for us to see before they fly out. I'm concerned that within this, the Governor has the authority, and it's not him being one person or who he is. It is the fact that I have said the Commission of Inquiry was a one-man show, and I will always be against legislation that is a one-man show. We have the National Security Council, where they're not mentioned in this document whatsoever, Madam Speaker. Nowhere. Where are people not given the authority to get into things? Then we talk about warrants, whether it's the governor, whether it's a high court judge, whether it's a magistrate. Madam Speaker, how can we expect someone to do their job when they don't have the tools or the protection to do their job, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, how? Madam Speaker, there was a discussion about what is happening in Trinidad, and I'll be very brief about that. I listened to it. A prosecutor in Trinidad. Well, Madam Speaker, in 2005, there's a bench outside there for a local man at the age of 30 who was a prosecutor, and he was gunned down. So we're going to talk about Trinidad today, but we can't talk about the BVI nearly 20 years ago. The reality has been here. It is here. Madam Speaker, we have young people in the street. I said in this House, we need more programs for all young people because there is dealing with the no, but there's also dealing with the cause. So this evening, tomorrow, we'll deal with the no. But Madam Speaker, you can't do a piece of a puzzle and then get up and expect the puzzle to be complete when you haven't put all the pieces in place. Madam Speaker, I want to be clear. In order for the BVI to continue to do what it needs to do, and for our reputation, which is still rebuilding itself, we have to do what's right. But this piece of legislation, this is the mutual evaluation bundled with everything else that we had before. Everything that's going on in our society. And to give the authority to an entity that we do not 100% trust, we have to put safeguarding in place for it. For all people. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I voted no, because I know, and I've said it in this House, I have a big head, Madam Speaker. The head big. But I do not have all the answers. And I again say that even though this was drafted, this was consulted on by legal minds and not by political minds, Madam Speaker, I still have other people out there who might say to us, maybe this can work or that can't work. And the member for the 6th did a wonderful presentation about other jurisdictions, including the UK, what they do. So now we're going to have to come in here during committee, lean on our own research and get it done. Madam Speaker, the BVI, all of us know what happens in our community. We know. We see it. We experience it. And some people are afraid sometimes to address it. And I pray that today, and when we go forward and we finish this bill, that the police have what they need to do what they say they need to do. Because I've heard before that things have been done and nothing has come. I'm not blaming anyone. Madam Speaker, the most interesting thing for me now, looking at these amendments, now, I watch a lot of Law and Order and CSI. Madam Speaker, I thought we had these things. Because, Madam Speaker, we don't have that many not smart criminals in the territory anymore. They're bright. And if we don't become bright with the way we deal with them, all the things we say about other Caribbean countries who have murder rates of 650 something for 2024, those 20 or more unsolved murders that we have in this territory, Madam Speaker, they're going to continue to grow. And for a small territory, when people get up internationally and talk about us, what are we going to do? We're going to say we're working on it? Madam Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to speak in here. And all I want to say again is, I'm in support of putting things in place to have a safer community. But I'm also in favor of putting things in place so that we take care of the elements within our society that are causing these things to happen to our people. Because crime is tied to poverty, to opportunity, to hardship. It's tied to a lot of things, Madam Speaker. But we have to make sure for those of us in this country who are not doing wrong, all civil liberties or privacy is maintained. So when we go into committee, Madam Speaker, I'm going to be asking the question, how do we make sure someone doesn't abuse this? And how do we make sure that when they do wrong, they get treated like a criminal and not be given a pass? Thank you, Madam Speaker.